Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my booktube channel, Loc'D Booktician. And I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to name this video yet. So whatever it's named is what we're gonna go through. I find myself just a bit nervous. Primarily because this is a heavy topic that we're talking about. Before we get started, I want to say a couple things. One, thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and notification button so that you're aware when new videos come out from me. Another thing I wanted to say, if you're looking for ways to support my channel, please click any of the links below and that will give you all the information that you need. Another thing is, I am making an assumption that while I'm going to be talking about this title, I may say black people, or we don't, or we can, or things like that. And it may come off as a generalized statement. I am speaking from my individualized black experience coupled with the experience of other black people that are in my life, i.e. my family, friends, you know, the Southern black experience, the Southern black New Orleans experience, or even the Midwestern black experience specifically to Milwaukee. So just like different, I'm pulling from different things and I'm going to try my best to explicitly say that. But I think I may make a mistake and generalize, but I'm not trying to say all of black people in the world may feel some way or think some way or, you know, different things. So I just wanted to say that firstly, if anyone may think that I am generalizing as if calling, you know, the African or black diaspora monolithic at all. So today we're going to talk about The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, one of my favorite writers and human beings of all time. Sadly, I never got a chance to meet her, but I like to think that our ancestors are here in the present, so that is where I'm at. Okay, so I want to talk about the themes of this book, and if you read this book, I am so happy that you clicked on this link. If you didn't read this book, I hope that this information that I'm going to share in this video is going to propel you to think more critically and reflectively about the text in which you're reading. So I'm just going to read the back to you, and then I'm going to break down my thoughts and how it can impact family from a trauma perspective. I may throw in some personal tidbits and just talk about how generational trauma can really be impactful to different black experiences currently in the now, right? So let me read to you the synopsis. Pecola Breedlove, a young black girl, prays every day for beauty, mocked by other children for the dark skin, curly hair, and brown eyes that set her apart. She yearns for the blonde hair and blue eyes that she believes will allow her to finally fit in. Yet, as her dreams grow more fervent, her life slowly starts to disintegrate in the face of adversity and strife. A brilliant examination of our obsession with beauty and conformity, Toni Morrison's virtuosic first novel asks powerful questions about race, class, gender, with the subtlety and grace that have always characterized her writing. I couldn't have said it any better, so I had to read that to you. So let's talk about a couple things. The first one, we're going to talk about colorism. And I know you're probably like, oh my God, I already know about colorism, or I've heard of it. So colorism is this. So when we think about colorism, a lot of communities around the world experience colorism. Some cultures, colorism is directly tied to the adverse effects from white settlers coming into their communities, and some communities are not. It's just colorism shows up differently. So when we're talking about blackness, right, and I'm talking about, again, you know, my black experience, what I've experienced and what I've seen, really grappling with having darker skin, and also being a woman, and also existing in this world is a beautiful thing. But I will be lying if I also tell you that it doesn't come with trauma that has been perpetuated generation after generation after generation, which so many texts, so many books can even say is a direct link from, you know, white settlers taking African slaves from Africa, right, and bringing them to the United States or the Caribbean or South America, just different places, right? We've been taught, or I should say I was taught, that the darker you are, the less attractive you are. Now imagine getting that message day after day after day in subtle ways or in very overt ways. It can look like, hey, don't get into the sun. Hey, make sure you stay in the shade. Or bullying. It can be jokes. It can be so harmful and impact your self-esteem either throughout your life or for a very significant part of your life. Growing up in the South, growing up in New Orleans, I was always either overtly told or told in a subtle way that white is right or light is right. So me being a darker skinned black woman was never something that was compared to beauty. So when Pecola throughout this book kept talking about how much she really wants to be lighter or wants to have a beauty standard that she can never conform to, was very relatable. Pecola was bullied about it. She also became the bully and became very, very spiteful to a light-skinned girl in the book. Pecola also made assumptions about, you know, black people who are light-skinned, and was just very shocked when she found out some of her assumptions were just not true and just rooted in hatred that was really poured into her about herself and how she looks towards the world. So let's talk about like trauma. When you are experiencing trauma, when you are dealing with generational trauma, historical trauma, Pecola's actions make sense. Like when you're understanding the effect of generational and historical trauma, it makes sense. There have been things written saying that, you know, a white slave owner preferred the light skin, you know, slave. There have been things written saying that if you were darker skinned, you were shunned or you were treated worse than if you were lighter skinned. If you were darker skinned, you worked the field, you worked in the homes, and also was more susceptible to sexual violence. So these white settlers came in, created this separation, right? Because different pigmentation already existed in Africa, already existed. So when we were removed from what we knew, brought here to the US, and all this is going to be from an US point of view. So if you're looking for another point of view, I definitely say do your research, but this video is specifically from a US point of view. So as these people are being bought from Africa, then bought here, and then the white man is just pushing and pushing and pushing that propaganda of, you know, light is right by giving slaves with lighter skin different privileges. And I would argue, are they really privileges? But different, treating them differently, I would say, than they are treating the slaves who are in the field. Those type of notions, that type of narrative still exists to today. Still exists today. We look at cases of Destiny Child. We look at Beyonce versus Kelly, right? And Kelly can sing and perform just as well, sometimes better than Beyonce, and I love Beyonce, but there is a privilege that comes with being lighter skinned, right? Nowadays people are starting to be like, okay, melanin queen, all right, I see you, but that wasn't always the case. So understanding myself as a dark-skinned black woman, and understanding, reading the character of Pecola, and understanding how she's thinking, how she's just really wanting to be beautiful, and also being very spiteful. She was very spiteful because she didn't get that beauty she wanted. She didn't get what she wanted in regards of things or physical appearances that would make her beautiful, quote unquote. So I just wanted to talk about that, and how like the notions of light skin and the notion of fair skin still affect Black communities through colorism, and still to this day is hurtful. And you can still see the privileges when you're watching your favorite actresses, your favorite singers, your favorite whomever influencers, right? You can see that there are privileges that lighter skinned Black people are afforded that darker skinned Black people are not. And I'm not saying that because a person who is lighter skinned and also identify as Black have different privileges, that their life is just smooth. I'm not saying that at all. You're still Black at the end of the day, according to the world, right? But I'm just saying that there are things that come with it, things that have been passed down generation upon generation upon generation, that we need to start talking about more. We definitely need to start talking about it more. Side note, I know this is serious. I know that I'm missing nails, you know, not the paint from these 2 nails. Mind your business, and you know, just mind your business. So from a therapist's perspective, mine, colorism, conformity, beauty standards really affect, or can affect, the way in which you create relationships with other people. And that starts very young. So in the field of psychology, we are taught that there are different things that are important for child development. One of those things is the ability to self-soothe, right? And when you're experiencing stress, any type of stress, the ability to self-soothe and learning it at a young age is so important, just beyond important. So if you are receiving messages that because you are darker skin, you are not beautiful, you are not worthy, your voice doesn't matter, all of these things, and there's not an adult teaching you that these are falsehoods, you know, your beauty is not equated to X, or teaching you the history of why people are thinking that way to begin with, and no one is teaching you how to cope from that, which is self-soothe from those messages, versus internalizing it and becoming angry or spiteful, or just, you know, turning into yourself or isolating, which are all unhealthy ways to deal with those things. If you are not taught how to self-soothe, those things will persist into adulthood, and it will affect the relationships that you make. You know, you may be a person who's constantly looking for reassurance because no one gave you that reassurance when you were younger. You may be a person who meets someone, and the first person who gives you some type of attention or tells you how you look outwardly, you might flock to them because you weren't taught how to self-soothe and radically self-love yourself, in spite of what society may have thought of you or continues to think of you. So as an adult, you may not know how to attach to other people in a healthy manner that is mutually beneficial. It may lead you to be a person who is walked over, or a person who is manipulated often, or a person who manipulate others, right? There's a lot of extreme things that can happen. That middle ground may be really hard to attach, or meeting people where they're at or in the middle might be very hard to do when you are not taught how to self-soothe. And not saying that because you didn't learn it developmentally at a time where it would have been very crucial for you to know, that you can't learn it. I'm fighting like hell to know it, you know? So it takes time, and you have to be willing to put in that work as an adult, even though it's gonna hurt and it's gonna be painful, and there might be days that you're crying eating Oreos. I'm not saying that's me, but I'm saying those things can happen. There are just multiple ways in which it can manifest as an adult. And all the things that I just said on how, you know, not having that ability to self-soothe and what it can look like, all the things I said is not an exhausted list, right? It will keep being added on. There are way more things that I didn't even say. So, you know, when you are getting messages from a young age about your physical appearance and then not being taught how to self-correct and self-soothe, it's just going to be really hard to undo all that work as an adult. Not saying that it is impossible, because you can't tell me nothing about this skin as an adult. Amen. Your girl is out here living her best, but it took a long time. And that, I'm also not saying that I'm 100% living my best. You know, next Tuesday your girl may be crying eating Oreos, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So the next session, the last section that I want to talk about, is sexual violence. If this is not something that you have the mental capacity to dive in, please, thank you so much for watching the video thus far, and you have a wonderful day. If you feel like you want to get more information, continue. Don't feel that you have to subject yourself to violence or hearing violence if you're not in that place. Please don't feel that way. So in this book, we have a character, and the character is experiencing sexual violence from her father. Now, earlier we talked about trauma, which is stress, right? And in this book, this character is experiencing what therapists call complex trauma, and it can be a trauma that is happening over a period of time, or repeated trauma. It's traumas, it can be collective, different types of traumas. It is very hard to address complex trauma as an adult, and even harder as a child, right? Because we live in a society, or my Black experience, I should say, as a kid taught me that children are to be seen and not heard. What did that do? Silence you. So if you experience any type of stress, any type of trauma, who are you gonna tell it to when you're constantly being told children are to be seen and not heard? And that speaking up or speaking against an adult is disrespect. So when you are receiving those messages, and you continue to go through your life and experiencing adversity, you are then teaching yourself to silence yourself, because that is what you were taught. And this is something that has been repeatedly woven into different Black communities. Based on the books and the stories I've been told, it's been like this for a long time, historically and generationally, if that's a word. So it's just really hard to undo those generational curses. There is also in the Black community, and I would say like my Black community or my family or other people that I know who are also Black and identify as Black, we have this very, very toxic saying called "as quiet as it's kept." And you may have heard me talk about this before, but as quiet as it's kept pretty much means like, I'm gonna tell you the most toxic, messed up, awful thing about what so-and-so did to so-and-so, or what so-and-so did, but don't say nothing. I'ma still invite this abuser to this house. I'm still gonna invite this abuser here. They still can come and hang around and mix around the family. But quiet as it kept, we know what you did. We're not gonna confront you, but we know what you did, because quiet as it kept, you did it. Now, Black folks, most Black folks probably understood what I just said. It will take me 18 videos literally to go into more deep depth about that. It just really perpetuates silence. It perpetuates silence, and it has continuously perpetuated silence generation after generation. So the character in this book is dealing with that, dealing with everyone knowing but no one saying anything. And if this person was to say something, or this child was to say something, it would be nothing but backlash. Now just imagine how this would affect this child's mental health. Just think for a second what that would do based on the information I have told you and based on what you know. Just imagine the pain that kid has went through, because instead of empowering children to speak, instead of protecting children in their homes, instead of believing children. We say children are meant to be seen and not heard. And those things, if we continue to perpetuate, if we don't break these cycles, we're just going to keep allowing more and more and more generational violence to be passed and passed and passed and passed. When you experience adversity, whether you or your grandmother or your mother, it literally changes your DNA. I don't know if you knew that. It literally changes the chemistry and the structures in your body. Why would you not want to break that? Like, your body remembers. It remembers. So when people are giving birth to kid after kid after kid, those things are passed. That stress, it's passed on. So we need to really think about the words we are doing, the actions we are allowing, and we need to start teaching our kids how to love themselves radically. Radical self-love. Sonia Renee has said it best. Radical self-love. And learning how to self-soothe. That is so important for our Black babies. So important for our Black babies. To love themselves unconditionally, because this world is really going to be throwing punches left and right, and we cannot continue this. We cannot continue to not protect our babies. We can't. And if you're making the choice to continue not to protect our babies, well, you know, there's more stuff that you need to unpack. And like I said before, doing the work as an adult sucks. It sucks. It's hard work. It's not easy. But if you want to better yourself and better others and your family, you must. You must. And that's the end to this video. I hope that you got something from this, and if you have anything added, please add. I'm trying my best not to cry, because reading this book was hard. Like, this was not an easy read, you know. Like, this was hard. This was very hard. I know I already said that, but I just kept seeing so much of experiences. I kept seeing so much of experiences I either felt or witnessed or watched. So definitely this book is a lesson. It is a giant lesson and a wake-up call to me. That's how I viewed this book. So again, don't forget to, you know, comment below. I definitely want to chat with people, and that's pretty much what I really want. Just want you guys to chat in the chat box. Let's talk it out. You know, let's talk about ways in which, you know, we can be healthier. You know, like, for example, I try to be the best aunt I can be. You know, my nieces and nephews, I tell you, I'm always ready to listen. Like, even if, you know, you don't call me often or I don't call you often, I am always ready. Like, I have nieces and nephews who I'm not even blood related to, but I am always ready. Like, you can always call T.D. Bree, you know, like, I will always listen to you. Your voice will always matter to me. So it's important to provide space for these young people who just need someone to listen to them and hear them and believe them. That's really important. So let's chat in the box below. I apologize for the crying. It's cancer season. What do you want from me? We'll talk soon. Bye.